All right, sorry about that, everybody. So let's continue on. Now, why is a rate watch important to me as an originator? Well, we've already discussed you want to stay ahead of market shifts that could cause rate changes. You want to position yourself as an expert, but you also want to deliver your advice on rates and potential changes by sharing the screenshots of the charts. Furthermore, you can deliver value to your realtor partners by keeping them in the loop on market conditions. So I'm going to cover the share feature a little bit later here, and we'll get to see exactly what that looks like. You're given daily commentary that you can repurpose for your clients. There's several expert commentators that deliver commentary every day, and feel free to share those. That's for you. That's so that you can be, educated on the market trends, and so you can deliver that advice to your borrowers. Now, another thing it helps you with is it helps you avoid rate shopping, because you can show how much the market can change at any given time. Everybody basically has the same rates. So what sets you apart as a trusted advisor is you're the one that stays on top of it. You're the one that is able to show your borrower, hey, we're having a little bit of a problem in the MBS market today. We're noticing a huge drop here. That's going to affect rates, and it looks like they're going to be going up. So my recommendation is let's lock in this rate as soon as possible. Of course, the other side of that equation is, hey, the market's having a great day right now. Let's hang tight for another day and see what the rates do, because I have a feeling they might go down. Now, the last part of it is you get alerted immediately when somebody views any of your Edge presentations. So this is the tie-in with Edge. When your Edge presentations get a click, your borrower clicks on it and they view your presentations, you get an email alert automatically, but you also get a RateWatch alert. So if you've got this application installed on your phone, you're going to get that alert. It's a native app that's going to come through your phone and let you know that your presentation is viewed. This allows you to, strike while the iron is hot and really deliver a good experience for your borrower at the right time. So what are our goals for today? Well, we're going to learn how to install and use the RateWatch on your desktop, in a browser, or on your favorite mobile device. I'm going to help you become familiar with the charts and the trends in RateWatch. And then you're going to learn to use RateWatch to position yourself as an expert and a trusted advisor. So first things first, I'm going to show you some installation here. Now, there's 3 versions of the RateWatch. There is the desktop version that you can install directly on your PC or Mac. There is the online version, which is in a browser, and you can access that from any browser at any time. And then the third one is the mobile app. So there's 2 different mobile apps. There's one for iOS and there's one for Android. So let's get into the installation. Now what I'm going to show you here is some screenshots of the Android device. I can't unfortunately share this in real time with you, so I've taken screenshots of the entire installation process so you can see what it looks like. So the first thing you're going to do on an Android device is you're going to go to your Play Store. Now I'll show you the iOS installation in just a few minutes here once we're done with the Android version, but I can show you that one in real time. So if you're on an Android device, you're going to navigate to your Google Play Store. And once you get there, you're going to hit this search magnifying glass up at the top right. And you're going to enter in Mortgage Coach. Now when you search for Mortgage Coach, you're going to see that there's 2 apps that come up. There's the Mortgage Coach Viewer app, which hopefully you've got that installed already. And then there's the RateWatch app, which is the one we're discussing today. Now the Mortgage Coach Viewer app, just to touch on that real quick, that's the one that your clients will use to view your presentations on mobile devices. So when you send them an Edge presentation, if they consume it on an iOS device or an Android device, it's automatically going to take them to the App Store so they can install this free Viewer app. Now RateWatch is also free, so when you go to install it, if you've not yet set up a Google Play account, it's going to prompt you to do so. And setting up a Google Play account does require a credit card, but I will confirm with you right now that this will not charge you at all. That credit card is merely so that you can purchase apps if you want to. Now once you click on the RateWatch, you're going to see that you get this install button. And as you hit that and go forward, it's going to ask you what it can access, and it's going to tell you it wants to access your device and app history, your identity, and your photos and media files. When you click Accept there, it's going to continue on, and it'll start the installation process. And once it's done, you're going to see buttons that look like this. So you'll be able to open this directly. Now when you do open it, it's going to prompt you to log in. Your login for the RateWatch is the same as you use for Edge. So it's going to be your email address and whatever password that you've already set up. If you don't remember your passwords, you can always have a reset done by clicking the reset button here. You'll get an email that will give you a temporary password that you can use to reset it. Now, once you do log in, you're going to land on the home screen. And I'm only going to touch a little bit on this one right now because we're going to go a little bit more in depth once we get over to iOS and I can show you this live. But I do want to draw your attention to one part here, and that's the share feature. The share feature is really important because it allows you to take screenshots of the charts and send them out to your clients and partners. Now, in the Android world, the share button is this guy up here at the top. So you see these three little connected dots here. When you click on that, it's actually going to give you options for how you want to share it. And that looks like this. So it'll give you whatever you have installed on your device, you'll be able to share it in that fashion. So for instance, I could email this to my client. I can share it via text message. I can put it on Facebook if I want to. But just kind of depends on what platform you'd like to see it on. All right, so let's get out of there, and I'm going to show you the iOS installation. So give me just a second here. I'm going to pull up my iPad on the screen so you guys can see what this looks like. All right, there we go. Now, as I mentioned before, just like the Google Play version where you're doing it on Android, you're going to install this through your App Store. So you're going to click on this little icon right here. You'll see the same icon on your iPhone if you're using that. And when you do click on it, it takes you over to your App Store where you can do a search. So up at the very top here, that's your search bar. And when you tap on that, you can type in Mortgage Coach and then hit search. And you'll see that it brings up those same two apps. Now, I've purposely uninstalled it from my device so I can show you what the installation looks like today. But you'll see a little cloud here, and that just basically means download the app. So when you tap on that, it's going to start the installation process, and you'll see this little circle will complete as we go through. And then once it's ready, you'll see it turns to open. Now, when you hit open, it's going to do the same thing as we showed you before with the Android device, and that's going to prompt you for a username and password. So let's put in a sample one here. All right, so let's go ahead and log in, and we'll see what the main screens look like. And I'm going to see if I can turn this upward. There we go. So that'll make a little bit more sense. Now, when you first land on the home screen in RateWatch, you're going to see the candlestick charts. Now, these are the same ones you're going to see on your desktop version. It's the same ones you see on the Android version. But you notice there's a difference in the way it's shared on iOS, and that's this little share key up here at the top. So when you click on that, you're given slightly different options in the Apple world than you get in the Android world, and that's just a little bit different menu. But same general options where you can share it by email, SMS, Facebook. You can copy it to your clipboard. And when you do that, if you're not familiar with what your clipboard is, it's a temporary storage on your device. And basically what it allows you to do is just paste it anywhere you want. So if you were to choose copy to clipboard and then open up an email to a client, you can press and hold in the body of your email, and you'll be given an option to paste it. So that's one way you can do it. You can certainly use any of the other functions to share this screen as well. Now, before we get into the details on reading the charts, I do want to show you the settings. Now, the settings on both Android and iOS are under this parameters key up at the top right here. And I'm sorry, actually, you're going to go in through the three lines on the left for your settings. Parameters will allow you to change the charts, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But when you click on those little three lines, you can see that we can go to the home screen, which we're on right now. We can go to Day Watch. We can check our alerts, our edge views. We can see the commentaries. We can see the lender repricing for the day. And if you are using Click to Call, you can see your edge call log. But first and foremost, let's start with the settings. Now, you have options on whether you want to enable your email and SMS alerts, and when you click on that, you've got the different ones here. If you do want to receive text messages, you can enable text messages, and it's going to ask you for your phone number. Generally, I'd advise leaving all of these on. You definitely want to get the repricing alerts. Repricing alerts happen anytime there's a plus or minus 15 basis point shift in the market. That's generally what triggers either a new trend or a potential rate change. Now, as we go through the settings, there's also an update schedule. These are static updates, so you can choose if you want to be updated on the hour, and you can choose whichever ones you want. Oftentimes, I see people choosing, the first one for the market open, and then they'll choose one around noon, and then one for the market close, just so that they're given, the details at different points during the day. But keep in mind, even if you don't select any of these static alerts, you're still going to get the alerts that tell you when there's a major shift. And then the help menu here just basically tells you, email us over at support@mortgagecoach.com. We're always happy to help over there. So if you do run into a problem with installation, some of you may run into a problem on Android if you've got specific settings on there that prohibit installing apps that are not directly listed on your screen. It's in the Google Play Store, but you'll find that there's some security settings you might have to overcome if you've got major restrictions on your phone. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to run into that. But of course, let us know if you do run into that problem. We're certainly happy to help with it. All right, so let's get back into all the screens in RateWatch. Now, the home screen, this is your major screen. This is the one you're going to pay attention to the most. Now, the home screen is where you see the daily movement, across several days, and you can adjust what kind of time span you're looking at. But if you look up at the top here, it does show you where we're at today. Right now, we're down 15 bips. So this is an indicator that as we're dropping here, if we fall out of this channel, basically kind of draw straight lines right here. If we fall through that channel, we're going to find that we're going to get some repricing for the worst. So this is an indicator that you should probably be watching this today and check into it. If it continues to drop, you might want to start locking. Now, you don't have to guess at this. Dan RateWatch actually publishes a commentary every day. It's a video commentary usually. Sometimes he's only able to write it, but most of the time it is a video commentary. And he'll tell you what to expect. What's going on in the market, what can we expect for trending, what should we look for either way. Obviously, it's not a crystal ball. We can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but we can tell you that if it breaks away from certain values, or if it raises above 104, we're probably going to be starting a new trend. If it drops below 103.7, we're probably going to be starting a downward trend. But we'll get into that a little bit more as we go through. Now, when you tap on any of these candlesticks, you can actually see what the daily values are. So you can see it opened at 104, and it just changed actually. It looks like we got a little positive movement, came back up to -9. You can see what the previous close was, and you can see what our high has been today. That was 104.06. So we had a 6 basis point rise in the beginning of the day, and then we've been dropping since. The low is 103.81. Now, what these numbers mean relative to the charts is if we look at this candlestick, you notice that there's a thick part in the middle, and then there's what we call the wick at the top and at the bottom. Now, the wicks indicate the total movement for the day. Where has it been, and what are the highs and lows? So the very top of that wick, that's that 104.06 high. The very bottom of the wick is the 103.81. Now, the thick part of the wick is the movement for today. So we had a little bit of up, a little bit of down, came back up, and this is the actual movement for the day. This is where we're at. Now, if you look at other days on this chart, you can see that some are in green and some are in red. Now, red means that we've had an overall drop for the day. This part of the candle right here, this is the 9 basis point drop we're experiencing right now. Now, if we look at yesterday's candlestick, we actually had a bit of a rise, so that was green. Now, when you look at your app, you can tell what the market's doing basically by the color of the app. It will change colors for you. So this app is red right now because we're in negative territory. However, if we were in positive territory, we'd see that this app would actually be showing green for us. Now, you have options on how you want to look at the chart. So let's get out of there. And I'm going to click on parameters up at the top. Now, when you click on parameters, you have the option of changing which agency you're looking at. Now, traditionally, we follow the Fannie Mae 30-year. That tends to be the one that most directly affects rates. But you're also given the option, if you want to check it out, you can see what the Ginnie Mae is doing and what the U.S. Treasury is doing. And you'll hear Dan RateWatch talk about the Treasury quite often because that is usually a lead indicator on what he expects the Fannie Mae to do going forward. And you find that they do tend to line up. Now, if you want to switch which one you're looking at, simply tap on the one you want to see. And you can see I went to the Treasury there. And if I go back to my charts now, you can see I'm now looking at the U.S. Treasury at 2%. So we've had just a little bit of a green rise. Now that's a good indicator for us because we know we're in negative territory on the Fannie Mae. But if the Treasury is actually up right now, this is going to mean we'll probably end up leveling off today if nothing major happens in the market. But that's when you need to go and check the commentary. Find out what the upcoming meetings are. Find out if the Fed is going to make a statement. These are all things that Dan's going to tell you about. So those are the things to watch for. Now back to parameters real quick. I'm going to go back to my Fannie Mae here and let's get back up. All right, so we can choose the agency, but we can also change the coupon. Now, by default, we follow the coupon that's trading closest to par over time. Now, the 3.5 is the one that we're following right now, but if you wanted to look at a different coupon, you can simply tap on coupon, and you can change it. So let's say I wanted to look at the 4% coupon and see what that's doing. When I select that, you can see that the 4% is actually, it's done a little bit of up and down, but it's stagnant right now. This one's actually at a 0 up, 0 down level. So probably not a great indicator on what rates are doing, but as we continue to move through this chart, you'll notice that every now and then we'll change the coupon that we're following because it happens to be closer to par for the longer period of time. Now, what this is following, this coupon, is it's actually a bucket of mortgages, and these buckets of mortgages are traded openly on the stock market. So when we're talking about you know, a 3.5% coupon or a 4% coupon, that's not necessarily relative to the rates. That's simply what the most common bucket that's being traded is on the market right now. Now, that will determine how rates are going to go, because as we gravitate towards different coupon buckets, you're going to find that rates follow them as a lag indicator. So they're gonna like right now we're at the 3.5. We actually did see 3.5 rates some time ago, but what the 3.5 coupon means is that we're trading a bucket a bucket of mortgages that's anywhere between 3.5 and 4.25. So those are the most common ones being pushed out on the market right now. So let's go back to our parameters. I'm going to change it back to the 3.5% coupon. Now, I should also tell you that the one we follow is the one you're going to get your alerts on. So regardless of which ones you set on the home screen here, you're always going to get an alert on this one here. This is the Fannie Mae 3.5 that we're following, so when you get your up or down alerts, they're going to be relative to this. Now, back inside parameters, if we close out coupon, we can choose different types of analyses. When we click on analysis, you can see we've got what we call moving day averages. So like this is the 30-day moving average, and it's going to show you a line on your chart of what the 30-day moving average looks like. And actually I'm going to show the 10 because I'm showing a shorter view right now. And you can see this has now put a blue line that shows the 10-day moving average. Now, the moving average is simply an average that says if you draw a line going horizontal through the chart, this is the average of where it's been over 10 days. Now, there's lots of different parameters that you can use for that. You can see that you can actually show all, and there's going to be a ton of lines on your charts here. But you can see we've got a 200-day moving average, a 100-day moving average, and it makes more sense when we go out a little bit farther. I'm only looking at a 10-day view here, but if I change this to be a longer span of a view, it'll make more sense as to where these lines are coming from. Now, in order to do that, let's go back to our time. So time here, you can choose whether you want 10 days, whether you want 1 month, which is what I'm going to choose, or 3 months. And I'm actually going to remove some of my analysis lines so that it makes a bit more sense. Let's show none there, and then I'll just show the 30-day moving average. And you can see as we go back over to the chart, this moving average is following us, you know, along the chart line here. This is a 30-day span, and we can see generally what the trend has been. You know, we were going up. We're actually still continuing to go up on a 30-day level. So even if we experience a minor drop, we're looking at a trend that's going upward, which is actually good for rates. All right, so let's get the analysis points out of there. Now, your time, you can show the max, which is, you know, literally 200 or 300 days. Generally, the 3-month is going to be the view that's going to help you the most in terms of determining what trends are. So I like to show that one more than the others. Now, let's talk about what other screens we have available. If we click on that little 3-bar tab here, we can get to our RateWatch screen. So when we go to the RateWatch, you can see this shows you exactly what's been going on today. And if I turn this sideways, which you can do this on your phone as well, it'll give you a little bit better view of what's happening. But remember I said in the beginning, we had this little tiny upward movement in the very beginning of the day, and then we've been systematically kind of dropping, rising, dropping, and then we had a big drop. Now that big drop is where we issued an alert for you. So you would have gotten a text alert and an email alert telling you, hey, the market's down 15 bips, keep an eye on it. But you can see that since then, and actually during this call, we had a 9-point increase, or actually we had a 6-point increase that took us back up to -9. Now the day watch, one thing that's great about this is, you can share this with your clients, you can show them what's going on for the day, but it doesn't have to be today. You can actually select a date by hitting this little date function up here at the top right. And if I wanted to show them what it looked like yesterday, for instance, I can select the 10th, and then it'll update and show me exactly what happened yesterday. So we had a good day in the market, started off a little low, and then continued to rise up. We sent you an alert right here to let you know, hey, we're up 15 bips, check out the market. This would have been a good time to lock right in here somewhere. So the idea behind following this is just to give you an idea of what's going to happen going forward with rates so that you can make a good decision and you can advise your client on when to lock or when to, float it for a day or two. Now, obviously, it's a little different for originators now than it used to be. It used to be you wanted to watch this because it affected what your compensation was, because you could technically lock them in at a lower rate and still get the same compensation as you would as a higher rate. Since comp reform, that has changed. So now it's just all about your borrower's best interest. So as you keep an eye on this, look for these diamonds here. These are the ones that are going to tell you when you should be really paying attention and be ready to make a move. Now the next one here is going to be alerts. And you can see that this is the alert from this morning. It's showing us that it went down actually 18 bips total for that first alert. That's when we alerted you. And then since prior close, it's actually 24 points down from prior close. So you may have noticed that some of your lenders are issuing repricing for the worst right now. I may correct towards the end of the day. You know that it changes, by the hour. But as we can see here, this is definitely a negative sign. If we were advising our client and we needed to close right away, we probably want to hit the lock button before we get a reprice for the worst. Now, I told you about edge views. I don't have any edge views in this one because it's a sample file, but if people had clicked on my presentations, I'd actually see those presentations inside my edge views, and they would have a link that I could click on that would take me over to that presentation so I can see, the actual total cost analysis or open house presentation that I had sent out. But as you go to those, it's basically just a way for you to strike while the iron is hot. So when you get an edge view alert, you know your client has just viewed it, and it's time to call them and ask them if they have any questions. Make sure that you give them a solid understanding of what they're looking at, and knowing that they're going to share this presentation with others. You don't want to have to rely on them being able to explain what you said. So it's a great time at that point to ask if there's anybody else in the decision-making process that they'd like to have included in the conversation. Now the next one is commentary. Now I told you about this earlier. Dan actually issued a written update yesterday, so if you wanted to see that, you could simply tap on it, and it shows you exactly what's going on. He tells you what to look out for. There's a good 10-year auction. That's why we had a decent day in the market yesterday. But as he said, it could be a signal of weakness and caution from home buyers. Now, if we look at today's chart, he's telling you to be careful. Yesterday he told you to be careful. And if we look at today's chart, that's why he was telling you to be careful. There's a little bit of a confidence issue, so we're seeing that the MBS market went down just a tad today. Now there's other commentators that come into play. There's Neil Trineri, who gives a really detailed look at all the numbers, and you can scroll this by simply scrolling with your finger to move it around. This is all the key economic data, but when you get to the very bottom, he gives you a very detailed explanation on what his advice would be. And most times Dan and Neil tend to line up, but sometimes you'll find that they're a little bit differing on their opinions. And take them both and understand that they're both actively monitoring the market. So their recommendations, you can see Neil today is staying neutral on both of them. He doesn't think there's going to be much movement either way, whether it's short-term or long-term. So he's expecting to stay in the channel. Now Dan said something similar. He's expecting to stay in the channel, but we could get to a drop because of this caution we saw yesterday. Now, you'll also see one in here periodically that tells you it's rollover day. Now, what rollover day means, it just means that they're changing the bucket of coupons. Every month, they roll over the coupon bucket, and they reprice it. Now, it doesn't affect rates. Rollover is completely independent of rates. So when you see this, you're going to see this giant negative on the chart here, but we send you this because don't worry about it. This is just a change in what they're pricing the bucket at. But when they're pricing the bucket, it doesn't affect rates until they actually start trading it. So this is just a price change. This is not trading itself. Now you can also see, and let's go back to that commentary section real quick here. Up at the very top right, there's a member commentary. So if you wanted to chat with other members, and you can see Michael was wishing Dan a happy birthday, but you can see that other people are giving you advice too. And again, take it with a grain of salt. This is everybody out there that puts these comments out there. You know, they may or may not have the right details to make an educated decision on this, but it should be helpful. I mean, if you find that everybody is saying lock, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and lock. Now let's get to our lenders. Now lenders, this shows you an aggregate of rate sheets across all the lenders we track. Now we partner with Loan Sifter and Optimal Blue to be able to get an amalgamation of all the rate sheets for specific lenders. Now you notice we don't name them here, and the reason we don't is as compliance continues to evolve, this has changed now where we're really not supposed to be giving you the actual lender name anymore. Rather, we want to give you a barometer on what's happening in the market. So as we look at this, we can see that 48 lenders had better pricing and 34 had worse pricing. Now, the reason for that would be yesterday's market. They always take a little bit longer to reprice for the better than they do to reprice for the worst. So we had a really good day yesterday, and we're seeing that this morning people are reacting to yesterday. So most of them have repriced for the better, but we've got a good chunk of them that have their finger on the button and they're looking at the drop this morning and they've already started repricing for the worst. Now, all this is meant to do is tell you, what are we looking at as a barometer for the country? What are they doing across the United States with rate sheets? How should we expect our lenders to react? Now, as you can see here, we're not noticing any lopsided effect either way. So this means that it's staying pretty still right now. You shouldn't expect too much of a change from the lenders that you're working with. Now the edge call log, if you do use click to call, this shows you any calls or meeting requests that you've received from somebody hitting the Call Me Now button on your Edge presentations. I don't have any in this one, but it would show your client's name, their phone number, and if they did schedule an appointment with you, because it does bring up a calendar that allows them to choose a time they want to be called, it would tell you what time and what day they have chosen. Now we've been through the settings and everything, and I think we are good on the mobile app for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the desktop version. So let's can this guy for now. Now this tool I'm using, just in case any of you are wondering, this is actually called Reflector. I get asked about this all the time. It's a cool way to be able to pitch the screen of your iPad or your iPhone onto any computer. So whether it's a PC or an Apple device, you can pitch that screen like I was just doing. So I found that a lot of our clients really like to use that so that they can demonstrate, you know, what's on their phone on a large screen. It helps with both the RateWatch app and the Mortgage Coach Viewer app. But let's get over to the desktop version of RateWatch. Now the desktop version is a little bit more interactive than what you get on the mobile version. And the reason is you get things like these pop-ups that actually pop up on your computer. So they'll tell you, I call them toast, but they pop up like a slice of toast for you to let you know when there's a major shift in the market, let you know if there's a commentary. They'll also let you know if one of your clients has issued a callback request. And the other thing they do is they'll give you your static updates as well. So you can turn these off if you want to. I recommend keeping them on and just turning off the sound if the sound bothers you, because it does make kind of a pinging sound when it comes up. But you can do that in your settings, and you can see that I've got my settings here, and I can choose under my application settings if I want to play the sound on the alerts or not. But let's go through all the settings real quick. You can see that the email and SMS settings, the same thing as what we were looking at in the mobile version of the app. It allows you to enable text messages and insert your cell phone number. So there's a RateWatch commentary from Dan. And then the update schedule, this is the static updates that we were talking about earlier. You know, I get notified on market open, I want one at 9 o'clock and I want one at 2. And then lenders, you can choose specific lenders inside this app that you want to watch, and to do that you would just hit select lenders. And application settings, this allows you to choose whether you want to launch this application when you start up your computer or not. If you are on a Mac, I would highly advise you uncheck this box, minimize application on close. Mac's minimization is a little bit different than the PCs. So if you have this checked and you minimize the app, it kind of goes off into a weird place where you can't find it, and you'll have to force quit it. So you don't want to have that happen. To avoid that, uncheck this box. That should never happen to you. And if you don't want sounds when these alerts come up, you can certainly uncheck the box there, hit submit, and that'll save your settings. Now you have the choice on whether you want to be alerted when you get an edge view, and you can see that I actually just got one right here. An open house flyer that I did, it's a sample, was viewed, and it's telling me that it has been viewed. So if I was to click on this guy, it'll actually open up the presentation that I had sent out. So you can see what I've got here. I just did one product. And mine is really not complete because this was a sample file, but you get the idea. Had you send one of these out to your clients and you got an alert, you'd be able to click on that alert and immediately bring up the presentation. Now you have the same kind of options as you did in the mobile app. This is a little bit different because you're not doing a touch screen. You can actually just hover over and you can get all the information you need on the candlesticks, but they're the exact same sticks. It does show you where we're at right now, and it shows you any alerts that we had sent out. Now in order to change the agencies, you've got to drop down up here at the top left. You can change the coupons using this drop down here, and you can show your trend lines using the analysis drop down right here. Now you also have the day watch screen, and keep in mind you can always right click on this and hit copy if you want to send them a view of this screen. I find that actually the best way to do a day watch screen, if you want it to be nice and big, is to go to RateWatch Online. And you can get there by going to ratewatch.com/RateWatch Online. Oops, there we go. And let's activate that. All right, so same kind of option where you will log in. And one thing I like about this, and you can tell right away, is how big the charts are. It's dependent on the size of your browser. So if you wanted to send an image, a full screenshot of this, this is going to give you a nice big view of what the day watch is doing. Now it's not clickable. You can't right click and copy because this is a flash window. So you would have to do either a screenshot, and you can do that by doing Alt and print screen. That'll give you a screenshot. Or if you're on a Mac, you've got a 3-key combo including F1 that you can do. Actually, the number one that you can do. But if you'd like to know those combos, just shoot us a quick note over at support. We can certainly get that to you. All right, so let's get back over to our desktop version here. I just want to show you that everything is parallel between all three of these. No matter what version you're on, you're going to get the same data. You're going to get your edge views. You'll have an edge call log if you did choose to receive calls. When you go to the commentary, you can see our expert commentary and our member commentary. And then lenders in the app is a little bit more detailed. You can see that because this is a locally installed app, we can still show you the lender names here. So when you select specific lenders to watch, you can see what their average movement across all their rate sheets is. Now this doesn't mean that if I'm using Commerce Mortgage that I should expect that my rates would drop 0.034 today. What this means is that over all the rate sheets that they offer, they've had an average movement, positive movement of 0.034. All right, so the other thing you can do with this is you can check what lenders are doing based on the type of loans. So if I wanted to see which ones issue better pricing for FHAs, if I wanted to see what they did with jumbos, I can see that. I can even look at fixed versus ARM, and you can see that ARMs have better pricing because of yesterday. It's pretty significant there, so your ARMs are probably in pretty good shape today. Now you can also check and see what these lenders did in relation to the last RateWatch alert by checking this little box here. And you can see that it now isolates the time. Since that last alert, we're pretty even here, 28 to 13. But over the entire day, we've had most people issue better pricing. So we'll see what happens this afternoon. If we continue on this kind of downward stagnation that we're doing right now, I would expect the worst pricing to go up just a tad. Now with that said, I know we're a little bit over time today. Sorry for going over today. We do have this recorded. We will make it available on our YouTube channel and as part of a playlist for you. So hopefully you're able to attend all these winter workshop classes. We're going to have another one at noon today, and that's going to be Lakeisha going over the annual mortgage review. So if you get the chance, make sure and join us for that. If you're unable to attend any of these, shoot us a note at support. We're happy to deliver the playlist link for you so you can watch them at your leisure. But with that said, have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and please do join us for the noon session today. Thank you much. Bye-bye.